The defendant repeatedly made false statements on New York business records. He also caused others to make false statements.
While everyone is not above the law, no one's below it either. And if this man's name was not Donald J. Trump, there is no scenario we'd all be here today.
Well, we start at 6 o'clock with breaking news and the first criminal counts ever against a former U.S. president. Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records. The indictment accuses him of directing 3 different instances of hush money payments to cover up alleged affairs. Trump is now on his way back to Florida after spending the afternoon in a New York City courtroom.
And Trump walked out of court after being formally arrested and hearing the charges against him. He was released without having to post bail. Mike Valerio reports on what's ahead now that the grand jury indictment has been unsealed.
Former President Donald Trump walking into his historic arraignment on more than 30 charges related to business fraud. Tuesday's legal proceedings relatively short, but its impact on American history seismic, unprecedented. Trump is now the first ever former or sitting president to be criminally charged. The charges center on a 2016 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels, facilitated by his then personal lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen, who was convicted for his role in that payment and testified to the New York grand jury against his former boss.
Michael Cohen did time for a crime that the federal prosecutors in Manhattan said Donald Trump directed him to do. And it was only for his benefit. And so Michael Cohen did the time. Now it's time for equal justice.
Trump is already looking ahead towards a possible trial, posting Tuesday morning that it should be moved to Staten Island because Manhattan would be, quote, very unfair. Security around the New York City courthouse was ramped up ahead of Tuesday's arraignment, with overall peaceful crowds gathering both for and against Trump, including a brief appearance by one of his most vocal allies on the Hill.
This is the former president of the United States of America. And the government has been weaponized against him.
He is not above the law. He should not be above the law. The analysis of whether or not he is or is not a former president should be irrelevant.
The next step for Trump, back at home at Mar-a-Lago Tuesday night, where his lawyers have said they'll dissect every charge in the now unsealed indictment and plan their defense. In New York, I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
Trump waved to his supporters as he left Trump Tower earlier this afternoon on his way to court. Indiana Senator Mike Braun has been a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. That support did not waver today, despite the criminal indictment unsealed.
Most, I think, looking at the context of what's happened over time, would wonder if they're well-based, if they merit even going to this point. Because when you do it, you're pushing something politically, and that can have a consequence for the country as well. I think at this point, remains to be seen. He pled not guilty, and now the process will work itself out.
To see the full indictment, grab your phone, scan that QR code right there on your screen, and that will take you to the As Seen On section of WishTV.com. Just look for this link in the story.
Former President Donald Trump's bid to stop his former aides from testifying in the special counsel's January 6th probe has been denied by a federal appeals court. Trump had claimed that he had legal protections around his presidency that would block certain testimony from former top administration officials. The swift decision means Trump's former advisors could be brought into the federal grand jury in Washington by prosecutors in the coming days.